Will the princess sleep forever? Or could an ancient curse still be broken? For centuries, people whispered those very questions. No one knew the answer. But before the curse, before the sleeping kingdom, there was joy, there was laughter, there was hope. This is the tale of Sleeping Beauty. Long ago, beyond emerald forests and crystal rivers, stood a peaceful kingdom. Its people loved their wise king. They loved their gentle queen, not because they wore crowns, but because they ruled with kindness.
Please, Your Majesty,
Justice guided every decision. Compassion filled every heart. Yet one sorrow remained. When evening arrived, the palace grew quiet. The king often paused outside an empty nursery. He stood there in silence. The queen walked alone through the royal garden. Every morning, she cared for a single white rose. Its petals bloomed beautifully. Its fragrance filled the air. But her heart still longed for something more. Neither spoke of their sadness. Neither needed to. Each carried the same wish. Then, everything changed. A daughter was born. Before sunrise touched the mountains, bells echoed across the kingdom. Farmers left their fields. Children danced through the streets. Flower petals floated through the air. Even the oldest villagers smiled through happy tears. The king declared 7 days of celebration. Everyone was invited. Nobles arrived from distant kingdoms. Artists carried wonderful creations. Musicians filled the palace with joyful melodies. Among the honored guests were 3 ancient fairies. They protected the oldest magic, and they loved the newborn princess. The great banquet was finally ready.
A toast to the
Golden
harvest.
candles lit the magnificent hall. Crystal goblets sparkled like tiny stars. The celebration had begun. As servants prepared the royal table, one by one, the fairies approached Aurora's cradle.
May your heart always choose kindness, even when the world forgets. May wisdom guide your every choice.
The youngest fairy raised a branch of white blossoms. She smiled at Aurora. She drew a quiet breath. Then, everything changed.
Close the
The
doors!
great palace doors
It's
groaned open.
freezing! Help
An
us!
icy wind swept across the hall.
The storm!
Every candle went dark. Only 2 remained. They burned beside Aurora's cradle. The music stopped. Silence followed. Standing in the doorway was a lonely woman. Her robes were darker than a moonless night. A crown of twisted thorns rested upon her silver hair. Ancient sorrow hid behind her steady eyes. Her gaze swept slowly across the hall. 3 places of honor. 3
shouldn't be
crystal
here.
goblets. 3
It's a trap,
fairies
isn't it?
welcomed with smiling faces.
We must remain
But
calm.
not one place remained for her. A faint smile touched her lips. It carried no joy, only old pain.
This kingdom welcomed me with songs. Today, it pretends I never existed.
No one answered. No one dared move. The king stepped before Aurora. His hand rested upon his sword. The stranger never looked at him. Her eyes remained fixed on the sleeping child. Centuries of silence hardened her heart. She slowly raised her dark staff.
Before the princess sees her, she shall touch the spindle of a spinning wheel, and she shall fall into a sleep from which she will never awaken.
The forgotten fairy's voice echoed through the silent hall. She shall touch the spindle of a spinning wheel, and she shall fall into a sleep from which she will never awaken.
Rest now.
The queen rushed to Aurora's cradle.
Everything is
She
going
gathered
to
her
be all
daughter
right.
into her arms,
Mother is
as though
here.
love alone could shield her from fate. The king stepped forward. Steel flashed beneath the candlelight. "Leave my daughter," he commanded. The forgotten fairy never flinched. Her eyes remained calm. No crown has ever commanded fate. Before despair could consume the hall, the youngest fairy stepped forward. She lifted her branch of white blossoms. Silver light filled the great hall. "I cannot undo the curse," she said gently, "but I can soften its ending." She smiled at the sleeping child. "The princess shall not die. She and all who love her will sleep together until awakened by a heart filled with true love." For one silent heartbeat, the forgotten fairy lowered her gaze. Regret flickered across her face. Then the wind rose once more. When the candles steadied, she was gone. From that day forward, the kingdom prepared for the day everyone feared. Every spinning wheel was gathered. Some were burned beneath the castle walls. Others were broken beyond repair. Before long, not a single spindle remained. The years slipped quietly by. Aurora grew into a bright and gentle young princess. She loved exploring hidden gardens. She asked questions about everything she saw. No servant was too small to greet. No child was too unimportant to notice. One spring morning, she found a young servant kneeling beside a broken basket. Fresh flowers
It's all
covered the
right.
garden path.
We can
The little
fix
boy
it together.
wiped tears from his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "The queen trusted me." Aurora knelt beside him. Without a word, she began gathering the scattered flowers. The boy looked at her in surprise. "Flowers bloom again," Aurora said with a smile. "Kind hearts are much harder to replace." Together, they filled the basket. Together, they carried it back. From that day forward, the servants loved their princess even more. Not because she wore a crown, because she never overlooked anyone. Only one person could never forget the curse: the queen. One quiet afternoon, when Aurora was 8 years old, she wandered through the palace gardens. Hidden beneath climbing ivy lay an old wooden spindle. Its polished wood caught the sunlight. Curious, Aurora reached toward it. Across the courtyard, the queen saw everything. She ran. Before Aurora's fingers could touch the spindle, her mother gently pulled her away. Then she wrapped Aurora in a trembling embrace. So tightly, the little princess could hardly breathe. "Mother, what frightened you?" The queen forced a gentle smile, but tears shimmered in her eyes. "Only the thought of losing you." Aurora never forgot those words. She simply never understood them. At last, her 16th birthday arrived. Music filled the palace once again.
Raise your
Laughter
glasses with
echoed
us.
through every hall. While the celebration continued below, Aurora wandered into a quiet corridor. She had never noticed it before. At the very end stood a narrow wooden door. It rested slightly open. Warm golden light spilled through the doorway. Drawn by quiet curiosity, Aurora climbed the winding staircase. At the very top sat an elderly woman. She calmly spun golden thread. The wheel hummed with a soothing rhythm. Aurora watched in wonder. "What are you making?" she asked. The old woman smiled. "A forgotten craft, my dear." Aurora stepped closer. The polished spindle caught the final light of sunset. Almost without thinking, she reached toward it. A tiny prick. One crimson drop. Aurora swayed. Her eyes slowly closed. She slipped gently to the floor. Silence filled the tower. Far below, the palace bells continued ringing. No one yet knew the ancient curse had begun.